All right, welcome in, you all. Episode 84 here of Are You Serious?
Well, well, well.
Where do we start?
We debated on not doing one this week,
Yeah.
but after the events of the past week or so, thought it would be fun
Yeah.
to tackle kind of what happened with Imelda, how the forecast changed, how the models did, maybe dispel some rumors,
Yeah.
maybe to blow off a little steam,
Little therapy session
a
here.
little therapy session.
Yeah, so Imelda and Umberto,
Yeah,
which
that's pretty good.
Right.
It's good.
there's some days where I sound like I'm just from Kentucky.
Yeah,
And then
and
there's some
Beartooth.
days where I'm like, wow, look how fluent I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, so both of them are out in the Atlantic, obviously moving away. But in the, what would that have been? About a week and a half ago, the signal was there. Looked pretty impressive.
Started as a weak signal, like
Weak signal.
and then
Probably
about
2 days later.
Wednesday of last week,
Yeah.
there was a dramatic shift in the model data, which showed what initially looked to be Imelda going out, not so much.
Yeah.
That was about late last Tuesday. Last Wednesday is when it kind of started to trend that way.
Yeah.
And then by late Wednesday and Wednesday night, we went from a couple of models showing a threat to a hit to unanimous agreement in
And
a short amount of time.
Thursday started to be, I feel like, the day where the messaging from us shifted.
Yeah.
I think by Thursday in the morning, I started to say, hey, this is going to be in the Bahamas, which we've said many times. Anything in the Bahamas is our backyard.
That's our backyard. Yep.
We've seen that with Dorian.
Yep.
We've seen that with a lot of storms.
Yeah.
If it's in the Bahamas, we have to watch it closely. What we didn't know by Thursday, and I think we did a really good job with it in our newscast, was what is this going to look like with another tropical system to the east of it?
Yep.
And to be fair, models also didn't know.
Yep.
So for us, we communicated as best as possible. Obviously, we need to keep an eye on this. These two are going to kind of dance. I feel like that's where some of the misinformation, conspiracy theories, hype, and craziness began. And then from there, the rest of the weekend, at this point, feels like a blur.
Yeah.
This is where I start to lose days.
Yeah. Like, what day is it and where are we?
Because Thursday, we started to say, okay, I think it's fair to say we'll see some sort of impact. And
Yep.
when we say that, direct impacts, indirect impacts, rip
Yep.
currents, whatever. Thursday afternoon, we started highlighting things red. Hey, let's keep an eye on it. Friday, big emphasis. You're about to check out for the weekend. Don't.
Which was a very complicating factor in that forecast.
Yes, 100%.
Because the vast majority of people, if they're average news watchers, even if they're average, news readers on the app or whatever, Monday through Friday, people are busy on the weekends. They're doing their thing. They're not checking as frequently. They're not watching the news as much. They're not reading news headlines as much. And even up through Friday night, there was very much a concern of, okay, we're on Friday. Looks like we're going to get some impacts. We don't know the intensity of those impacts, but we're going into a weekend. And at that time Friday, it looked like as early as Monday afternoon, we could have a hurricane making landfall on the South Carolina coast.
Yeah.
And that's a recipe for getting people caught off guard, having people not prepared. So that's one of the reasons why I think the messaging from us and from a lot of people went up big time on that Friday. Like, hey, this is something we really need to pay attention to. We did an interview with Horry County Emergency Management on Friday. And they even said, we're going into a weekend. This is a really added layer of complication because had the forecast not changed, on Friday, we may have to deal with some impacts. People wake up Monday morning, if they're not paying attention, oh, by the way, we're having a hurricane today.
Yeah.
So that was something we had to really focus on and worry about in our messaging.
Yeah, we had a lot of talks about it. I like to put it into perspective. If we were on Monday and and the hurricane was going to hit on Thursday, our messaging and tone probably would have been a little bit different because we would have probably had people in for those 4 days coming in and out. With this being Friday and impacts on Monday, you start to toy with the idea, okay, I know people are checked out for the weekend. God forbid, if it wasn't busy weather, we would probably be checked out a little bit for the weekend.
Right.
So you can't really start to up your messaging on Saturday night or Sunday morning. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Research has told us that. So I think the earliest heads up with a stronger tone, I think kind of set the stage for the public perception.
Yep.
And it wasn't until Saturday midday with that new model data that came in that said, okay, no direct landfall.
Yep.
Looking basically likely at this point. And then from there, how do you go about it?
As quickly as we trended from out to sea to impacts in 3 days, we trended from impacts in 3 days to out to sea. It did that quick, literally over the course of 48 hours. Had we, again, had the forecast not changed, we had a short amount of time, but it did change. The vast majority of people, I think, were thankful, but then, and I'm not just talking about us, I'm talking about all meteorologists, despite the vitriol on social media, were getting the message out. I think maybe our message was less concerning than a lot.
Yeah.
We put out some very broad rainfall numbers, and that was as specific as we got.
Yeah.
Because there was unanimous agreement in the forecast models that we could potentially be looking at. I think the highest rainfall graphic we ever presented was 5 to 10 inches.
Yeah.
That
was from the start. That was our very first rainfall graphic.
Yeah, and there was a couple runs of the European model that had 24 inches of rain in the Grand Strand.
Yep.
I remember when a couple of those runs came out, I talked with Jen. I was like, should we put this out there as like a high-end potential with this? This is when it looked like we were going to get hit, and we discussed it and had a long conversation, and we both decided, like, no, let's not. That's getting into some historic level of rainfall around here, and we don't, we're not ready for that.
Yeah.
We're not ready to commit to that. Thank God we didn't.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
But there were other meteorologists, and this is not a blame on them, this is not a fault on them, that did.
Yeah.
Another layer of the complication of Imelda was we were at the 1 year mark of Helene.
Yeah.
And here we are a year later, and we're potentially looking at another massive flood event for the Carolinas. So everybody's even more hyper aware, especially in the Western Carolinas.
Yeah.
Which there were a couple of runs where the Western Carolinas looked like they could be in for significant flooding when it initially looked like Imelda was going to roll right on up into the Carolinas. So there were just a lot of nuances to how everything unfolded with Imelda.
I think this is also where we get into a really tricky topic on you want to be first, but you want to be first and be right.
Yep.
And we get into a really bad instance when it comes to our business nowadays, especially with weather. Not necessarily this market as much, but in other markets I've seen it. Hey, here's the new data, I'm going to present it to you right now. When the data, and we've said this before in our shows, has flaws. It always will have flaws.
Yep.
In fact, I think one of those things that was more impressive is some of the traditional data that we looked at really struggled. Really struggled with where Imelda was going to go. So for instance, we were kind of looking at all the data and the scenarios, and by Friday, stuff started to kind of drift away. Saturday, things started to drift away, but there were models that we just now have been introduced to. They kind of led the way.
Kind of led the way, but this
word is kinda.
But this is where it gets tricky.
Yep.
And there was I know I shouldn't do it, and I was told by a lot of people after a certain post on Saturday morning to stay out of the comments. But you get a feel for what's going on in the world by reading the comments. So I did, and there are a lot of people who kept bringing up Google AI.
Yep.
Google AI,
Yep.
which is a new model from Google. It's AI, and kept bringing it up. Did it lead the way? What are your thoughts?
I am looking for the text as we speak because after further examination, I don't know if it did.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because, let me go to my calendar. We had Imelda, which at the point would have been making landfall on the 29th.
Mm-hmm.
This was 4 days before. It was the afternoon run, so really 3.5 days.
Mm-hmm.
It was the only model that had a turn out, like Imelda's current track.
Yeah.
What's not being shown is the runs on previous days where Imelda started to drift back to the west following the operational run. So then that brings up the point of, okay, it hinted at it, sure, but I think if it were consistently to lead the way, it needs to keep doing that.
And there were plenty of AI runs that did bring it in.
Yeah, yeah.
Google AI runs, there were plenty that
Especially
brought it
ensemble.
in.
Yep.
Especially like you mentioned with the ensemble, which we've talked about here. There were plenty. There were plenty. What also sort of made Google AI, and still makes Google AI a little difficult to trust, is how new it is.
Yeah.
This is the first real hurricane season with Google AI. So we don't have much of a track record. Yeah, it may handle one storm great, and then the other one it may not.
It may flop.
It may flop. So we've got to get more used to it. What I'm saying is I don't think Google AI is going to be the be-all, end-all of forecasting.
No.
It may have an advantage, but I think it's also going to waver like every other model does.
Yeah.
It's also a big year for the European AI.
Yep.
Which has had some successes, but also had some huge failures.
Yeah. It led the way, leading the opposite way all weekend.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is if the models were consistently out to sea, it would then on the next run shift west. And then if the other models shifted west, it always felt like it was on its own different island.
It was on its own, but it was maybe a step ahead.
Correct.
So it would make a move, and the rest of the models
Would make a move.
would follow it.
Correct.
But it also had some really bizarre runs.
Yeah.
I was at dinner Friday afternoon having a cocktail after what had been a crazy week. And of course, when we're in that mode, we're watching every model run come out. And the Euro AI Friday evening showed Imelda basically coming into Myrtle Beach, slowing to a stall, going back out over the ocean, and then coming back in again.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
There was
Insane rainfalls.
There was also a thing that drove me crazy, and this kind of gets into it. I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. There was another thing that was happening with these model runs that were coming in, and I don't know if you noticed this as much, but there were how do you word it? There were forecasters and especially meteorologists on social media that would use what I feel like in graphics wasn't even on the model data to kind of paint a picture of what's going to happen. Does that make sense? Like, for instance, I would see some people be like, hey, looking at the latest data, it's all going to be dependent on if this low pressure out here in the southeast and this high pressure in the north. It's like, at this point, we're riding this fine line to where I feel like we have half the weather community going model to model and saying, hey, here's the trends. And then we have the other part of the weather community that's struggling with, hey, when we get new data, we need to take that new data with a grain of salt and actually use it. And I feel like we have this other side that's kind of just stuck in their ways. Like, hey, I've seen this too many times, I'm going to continue. And I feel like there's no one in the middle.
Yeah.
There's no good, because I saw a lot of people on X and Facebook, and if I was in the public and I knew nothing about weather, I would be confused.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then it almost feels like you're sitting in the middle here and be like, well, who's right?
Yeah.
And then you're even more confused about what's steering this or what the interactions are, because you have someone saying this and someone saying this, and it's basically based off what they're showing.
Yeah.
You know?
And then friggin' Fujiwara.
Yeah.
Which I've never seen happen in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
On a very clear basis, which real basic bottom line here, Fujiwara effect. You know, you have two tropical storms or hurricanes close to each other, and they'll begin to impact each other's steering.
Yeah.
And in sort of a model-based world, they can sort of rotate around each other. And you do see it occasionally in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Which is a lot more conducive to tropical storms and hurricanes. They get a lot more than the Atlantic does. And you can occasionally get a Fujiwara effect there. But that was introduced as a possibility in the Atlantic because there were a couple of model runs that showed Umberto and Imelda sort of doing their little Fujiwara dance. That got translated by, unfortunately, some big name outlets, but also just sort of a very generic post. Oh, these two hurricanes are going to interact with each other. They're going to that translates to they're going to combine
into
be
a superstorm.
mega cane.
Category 6.
And that doesn't happen. Hurricanes don't just like, that doesn't work. That doesn't happen. So that was another complicating factor. And obviously it never happened. Did Umberto have an impact on Imelda? Yes. Sort of creating and opening a door for it to come out. So that was a complicating factor, at least on the social media front. The pattern also leading up to Imelda made sense meteorologically in those couple of days where it looked like we were going to get hit. One of the things I look for all the time in hurricane season for a potential threat is an upper level low somewhere over the deep south.
Yep.
That tends to be a great way to pull a hurricane in. Hugo was pulled in by an upper level low over the deep south. Helene was pulled in by an upper level low over the deep south. So it's a very common setup. So, and that was on the models. And that upper level low happened, but it happened slower and it happened weaker than originally projected.
Yep.
Which is, again, why the shift. Another reason for the shift, Imelda developed slower. It moved slower, which allowed time for the pull from Umberto to outweigh the pull from the upper level low, which is why we saw the shift.
At the time, you had a strong Umberto pulling a rather weak Imelda. If it would have been opposite and Imelda would have been a little bit faster and stronger early on, I don't know if that would have been the same result.
Yeah, I think had Imelda developed on the pace that it looked like it was Thursday and Friday, I absolutely believe it would have shot on up.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely.
Same.
Or at least shot up a lot closer.
Yeah.
You know?
Do we have a problem in the weather community?
Yes.
Just flat out. And it feels like a screaming match on X. I've seen it a lot. Just like flat out saying, like, at this point, we don't know. You know? There was a lot of stuff where when you're looking, and I'm just thinking if I'm in the general public and you're looking on Twitter, there were some graphics that were really busy. That would have confused me if I had no idea what the heck we were talking about. You get Fujiwara talking about it and the possible impacts and how these are going to interact.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Like, I think we have a problem saying, hey, here's the new data, and we simply don't know. I think everybody wants to be first.
I don't.
I don't have that problem.
And I also, I don't have a problem with it. And I think I said it, we just don't know.
Yeah.
We just don't. I said it on
think we
air.
have
I
to.
said it on social media, and that's not to say that we did everything right with these storms.
Yeah.
And not to say everybody else did anything wrong with them. It's just, that's what this discussion is for. I don't know. We made the decision internally when it looked like Imelda was going to be a threat. Okay, let's do very little with Umberto.
Yeah.
Let's, we can give it a quick mention,
100%.
but our focus needs to be on our impacts from the storm that's going to impact us,
Yep.
Imelda.
Yep.
So we did very little. We debated, all right, well, do we show graphics that show our different possibilities?
Yeah.
Do we show how it's going to get pulled in?
Yeah.
We opted not to.
I think it was too much.
I think it's too much. And I feel bad saying that because I think some people may read that as, okay, well, you don't think your viewers are smart enough.
Yeah.
No, I do. But at the end of the day, the vast majority of our viewers are just watching to know if it's going to rain, are we going to get a hurricane, how bad's it going to be?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And honestly, they don't care about Fujiwara. And if they do, they're probably listening to this podcast.
And that was another complicating factor. I went back and I was like, all right, well, do I address Fujiwara? I decided not to because it wasn't a big player. It wasn't something that we were actually going to have to deal with. So I left it out because it's just another layer of confusion in a time that looked like we could be having a serious impact from a hurricane. So why muddy the waters?
Yeah.
Let's focus on what we may see, where Imelda may go, and what we're going to deal with here in our own backyard. If they're spinning around each other in the Atlantic, nobody cares.
Yep.
If we're getting 24 inches of rain and 90-mile-per-hour wind gusts, nobody cares what's happening
Yeah.
out there in the Atlantic. And that was my thought.
I liked the approach.
I liked our approach as well.
Yeah.
And given the same data this week, we would all do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes we fixate too much on a national scale or a tropical scale that, for instance, if this was in our backyard and say Umberto still wasn't there,
Yeah.
I'm still going to give Imelda all the local impact and focus less on if there's a tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter right now.
Correct.
Again, it's muddying the waters.
Correct.
It's muddying up the
And I
waters.
kind of felt the same way about the upper level low.
Yep, same.
At the same time, you're just confusing not only yourself, because it's like, how am I going to stack my show? But then also between the upper level low and the high pressure, I've seen everybody post, it's like, this is already going to be complex enough. Why make it even more? Because then imagine you're a viewer, you're sitting there and you're like, wait a second, what? So if this is stronger than that, it's going to get pulled to the west. No.
Which viewers aren't going to do. Viewers don't sit, and yes, there are some who are going to sit, but most, as we talked about literally last week, because we had consultants in town, which made it even more fun week. When it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
They're cooking dinner, they're getting the kids ready for school. Yeah, we're on, but they're not sitting and listening to every word. They're trying to get the basics. They're scrolling media, social media. We post a video and it's 5 minutes long, and we're talking about high pressure and upper level lows in Fujiwara. Next.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
So let's give what's important. And yeah, I mean, if we get the same situation again, that's what we're going to do.
Yep. I agree.
I mean, what were we supposed to do? Not address the fact that we may potentially be getting a hurricane?
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of people said.
Yeah.
Let me know when it's happening. The
And-
vitriol.
So I actually had a couple messages on Monday and been like, so what happened with the forecast?
Yeah.
So that tells me enough that I think the messaging ramped up on Friday.
Yeah.
People at least knew about it. They might not have known on Saturday, Sunday, so they checked back. And like, oh, wait, what? So at least we gave the first alert on Friday to Monday, and then by Monday they're like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
kinda
And let's
what you have to
also
do.
let's also not forget, it's like, I don't know, reading some of the comments, it was like either these people have never paid attention to weather before, especially never paid attention to tropical weather before, or they're in a whole different reality. So wait, what we say 5 days ahead is going to exactly pan out 5 days later. That's not how weather works. That's the reality of weather. And I put a post on my Facebook, Hurricane Florence, 3 days out, the forecast was for a Category 4 landfall in the Grand Strand.
Yeah.
The forecast changed, thank God, but
Yeah.
we still got a horrible thing. 3 days before Matthew made landfall south of Georgetown, the forecast from the National Hurricane Center was 100 miles offshore, and it changed in a hurry. Ian last year, or what?
3 years ago.
3 years ago, Ian. Most of the initial forecasts had Ian sort of never crossing back out into the Atlantic, never regaining hurricane strength, passing well west of us as a weakening tropical storm, no big deal. It zipped across Florida, came out into the Atlantic, and that was about 24 hours before landfall in Georgetown.
That was quick.
That we saw a dramatic shift. It happens. It happens. The snowstorm. 2 days before the snowstorm, I was in here on a Saturday, and I went on with, an inch if we're lucky. By Monday morning, we were up to 4 to 6 inches. It's the nature of it.
Yeah, it's a changing weather pattern.
Yeah, and we're doing our best to keep up with it and to try to get ahead of what's going to happen, and that's our job. But yeah, it changes. It happens.
I think it's also important to say that new data always helps us out, but it can also be a hinder. And I say that because when you're long range, sometimes new data isn't always the best thing. But the closer you get to an event, new data always helps in most instances.
Yeah.
For instance, most of those models started to pick up on, hey, this is going out to sea when aircraft from the hurricane hunters started to go in and sample. Hey, here's the environment conditions. Okay, well, that can now be thrown into the model. And now because of that, we have new data that tells us, hey, here's the environment. It's not going to strengthen as quick. Now we have this being influenced more.
Yeah.
The closer we get to an event, obviously the more data we get, the better understanding of a forecast. And it will always be that way.
Yeah, always.
So, you want to answer any questions, or you feel good about? We got a couple.
Do we?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah,
5.
We can do a couple. We're still tired.
I am tired.
And that's another thing.
Uh-oh.
For all the comments about, we're trying to get the insurance rates up and we're getting the kickbacks from lumber suppliers and grocery stores and causing panic and bottled water and everything. We're not. Here's the honest to God's truth. We don't get paid enough by our company for the hours that we put in those couple of days that look like it was coming in here.
Man, oh man. Or the lack of sleep.
That's what I'm saying.
Whew.
You and
It's
I both put
around
in,
the
what,
clock.
60 hours on the back half last week.
Yeah.
Not the full week.
Yeah. Because even when we're not here, you're constantly looking at your phone. It got to the point where I told Emily, I was like, if you just want to take Brooks to the playground, because I'm just glued.
Yeah. Friday morning, you were having a conversation on set with Lauren about, well, I wonder when Jamie's going to text me.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was what, 4:30?
Yeah, 4:30. Yeah.
4:30?
Saturday, I woke up, looked at the data, took a quick nap on the couch again. I mean, it's nonstop.
Yeah. Because that is how invested we are. We're, it's not fun to see things mess up like that and change like that.
Yeah.
And this isn't just us. This is the vast majority of legitimate meteorologists. We're pouring our heart and soul into these forecasts.
Yeah.
Into being right.
Yeah.
I was sitting in here at 4 o'clock Saturday morning when that first real big change came in from the National Hurricane Center that went from this to this.
Yeah.
And then, and was here half the day. And we were here, you were coming in early and staying late. We were both putting in 12 and 14-hour days. And like you said, and that's on top of what we're doing at, you up too late, me up too early. You're texting me at 10:30 at night when you should be in bed. I'm texting you at 4:30 in the morning when I should be in bed.
A lot of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say once that model, what was that? Sunday after all the crap, that everything just changed. My big thing is always binge eating. Like, let me just eat my feelings away.
Same.
I went to Taco Bell. My bill was like $28 between like Emily and I bet you most of it was me. I just ate my feelings away.
We're the same. Obviously, I have a lot more feelings than you do. I went to Joe's Airport Diner
Oh my
for
gosh,
lunch
that was carbs.
and had so many carbs and then went straight home with a full belly and took a nap Because at that point we knew,
Correct.
you know, if I missed the 2 o'clock update,
Yeah.
it's okay. If
Yeah.
took a nap for like 3 hours, got up and ordered a pizza and had a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, yeah. I had an ice cream sandwich Sunday night.
Yeah.
It was magical.
Just, yeah.
I was just,
Yeah.
And it got to the point where like by Sunday at 11. The 11 a.m. update was coming out. I knew it was.
It was kind of the seal. It was kind of the seal of the deal.
Yep, this is it. Man, I took a nap and I woke up not even knowing what day it was.
Yeah.
I think after like no sleep, it was just like, and I'm still there. I am so
I had
ready.
to take Monday off because I literally mentally wasn't able to come in here. Like I can't.
So we're a little slap happy if you can't tell. We'll save those because these are more lighthearted. But this
Okay,
one goes to hurricane season. It came from Dave. Last episode, I guess 2 weeks ago. Any reason in particular on why the Gulf has been so quiet this hurricane season, Dave?
That is a good question.
It's a really good question. Because it's extremely warm.
It is extremely warm.
It honestly, if we can get something in there,
If something gets in there, conditions are right, it's going to blow.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of times what happens in October.
Yeah.
October is prime Gulf Caribbean season. Nothing's been able to get in there.
no, nothing. In fact, there's been enough of not to overcomplicate it, there's been enough steering currents, and for some weird reason, there's been enough fronts
A lot of fronts.
that have kind of kept everything from
Yeah.
sneaking in,
Yeah.
shooting the gap, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
I do think it is October 1st. So if you're watching this after, it's a good change. And they were even hinted at it on the hazards graphic yesterday. Next 2 weeks, some developing lows somewhere in the Gulf.
Yeah.
Maybe even bringing rain for us. But if there's going to be a hurricane in the Gulf, I think it's going to be more homegrown.
Yeah, we're not
go
done
to
with,
this
yeah,
month.
we're not done with hurricane season.
Yeah.
I'd say we got at least a handful more of named storms to go. Locally, we got about 15 days left.
Yeah.
If we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And there doesn't look to be anything in the next 15 days.
You know, and at this point, I think it could be one of those active, low pressure hurricanes, depressions off to our northwest,
Yeah.
beneficial rain type of, and
Yeah.
then I still think this winter's cold and wet.
We'll see.
Cold and
We'll
wet.
have to
That's
do
all I'm
another.
saying
We'll have to
right
do
now.
another winter outlook.
I'm not saying snow. I'm just saying cold and wet.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dave, great question. Anything on your end?
No, I'm tired. we're always talking about how tired we are on this show, but after a week that we've had, we're really tired.
Yeah.
So-
And honestly, looking out at the Atlantic and seeing feels good.
Yeah.
Feels really
Yeah, because
good.
you know we still got Karen to go.
That'll be the one that does the loop-de-loop.
We'll see what old Karen does.
Oh,
Yeah.
can't wait for that. All right, that does
All
it
right.
for Are You Serious? We're tired. We'll see you all soon. Enjoy the beautiful weather.